Nirnam Vedam Vadam.
Na yasya kaschit deitosti kavichid.
Na yasya kachidaitoshika vichit.
Dveshastya yasmin yasamamatirninam.
Devasyascha yasmin vishamamatirninam. So we're going to go through the word by word. Na. Does not. Veda. No. That word actually, Veda, I don't know if anyone has other languages that he is familiar with, but in Hebrew, that word Veda knowledge means Yeda and Veda, and in Russian too, it means to know. It's like a verb. It's a very general word in our languages. Kaschit. Anyone. Bhagyavan. Oh Lord. Chikirshitam. Pastimes. Ba.
Tava.
Your. Ihamanasya. Like the worldly man. Nirnam. Of the people in general. Vidam banam. Misleading. Na. Never. Yasya. Is. Kaschit. Anyone. Dhyat. Daita. Object. Of the specific favor. Asti. There is. Karichit. Anywhere. Devasya. Object of envy. Cha. And. Yasmin. Unto him. Vishama. Partiality. Mataha. Conception. Nirnam. Of the people. And now we will read the translation. If anyone of you already caught on with where we're reading it, you can get ready. Maybe we're going to interchange in between. I'm not sure how long is the report. I think it's pretty long. So
Just 2 pages.
Okay. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Would you like to read the portion? Purport.
Sure. It's like 2/3 of it is one paragraph here. And,
whatever you feel like. Yeah. I just thought it will be.
I'm just letting you know. It'll take me a while for I'll be reading most of it. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as the specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of Godhead as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like the human beings, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of material contamination. He is undoubtedly known as partial to his devotees, but in fact he is never partial as much as the sun is never partial to anyone. By utilizing the sun's rays, sometimes even the stones become valuable, whereas a blind man cannot see the sun. Although
because of the sun reflection, the stones, they become valuable.
Yeah.
Isn't like, do I understand it correctly? It's like, because not necessarily stones are valuable, but the sun casts a specific light that makes them seem to be valuable. Yeah.
I guess like the beauty of a diamond is manifest in the light. You know, if it's just in a dark place, and it's like any other rock, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah. But darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but this does not mean that the sun is partial in distributing its rays. The sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacities of the receptacle differs. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering to the Lord to get some special mercy. Actually, the pure devotees who are engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community.
And soon we're going to celebrate Narasimha Dev Appearance Day. That's actually Prahlad Maharaj's quotation indirectly Prabhupada. He quotes him how Narasimha Dev wants to give him benediction, and Prahlad Maharaj, he has like a transcendental argument with Narasimha Dev. Why? You think I'm a mercantile? I'm coming here for you for business?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. A mercantile host renders service to someone in exchange for values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange, and therefore the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. Suffering and needy men, inquisitive persons or philosophers make temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. A suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, most cases the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive it.
Yeah, Prabhupada specifically, we mentions that in the Ishopanishad, this like dynamic between someone who is pious and he comes to God and someone who is not pious who comes to God. Like they both come and they want something from God. I think Dhira Govinda recites a lot this proverb that there are no atheists in the foxhole or something like foxhole. The hole that during the Second World War or in war they would go there and that was foxhole. Yeah. So there are no atheists there. So both people who believe in God and don't believe in God, when they about to fall down the ditch or whatever, they say, "Oh my God!" Right? They all ask for God's mercy. But that's kind of the difference Prabhupada makes between it. That one of them does not stick to God afterwards. Either he gets it, or he doesn't get that. And in the Ishopanishad, Prabhupada makes this brilliant connection to communism. That communists actually they were very pious. They were very God conscious, but because they were not pious enough, they left their God consciousness. Because as soon as they didn't get what they wanted from God, and they didn't have enough pious credit to really understand that God is not their order supplier, they left God. He gives this example of the Germans too, and communists, like the Germans sent all their children, the husband, uncles, all the men went to war. And the German women, they were praying to God, "Oh God, please bring us our fiancé, our husbands, our sons." I once saw this picture on Instagram of all the rings, all the engagement rings that were collected from the women after the Second World War, and it's like enormous. Like so many people, like you propose to someone and you go to war and you never come back. So they all became atheists actually up until this day. This German area, Germans and Czech Republic. I have personal experience like living there for some time, and it's like horrible. Like people, they spite in the thought of God. Spite in the thought of God, capitalism, like especially the eastern part of Germany. Bharat Prabhu, he gave. If some of you watched that presentation, I published it on the community feed, Chase. You can check it out. It's one of our senior godbrothers talk in TED Berlin, this community of, they bring different ideas and share. And he was sharing the Krishna conscious ideas in the eastern part of Berlin. Later I spoke to him, he told me the environment, and there was a Q&A section that was not in the lecture. And he was lecturing in Zonele, not Zonele. Yeah, it's a very eastern Eastern communistic part of Berlin. And up until this day, like they're really, really atheistic and impious, like anything which, you have more than me, oh, you must be so ill-motivated and greedy and lusty and such a bad person. And they don't understand, like this idea of communism is actually envy. Prabhupada, I think he spoke there about this idea of envy. Like, what is communism? I don't want you to have more than me, so I'm going to chop down all your profits, all your commodities, and I'm going to distribute that equally. The Prabhupada, he laughs so many times, like, what is this distributing equally? You are distributing that. How can it be equal? They're always the distributor, and they're always the person who gets that. It cannot be equality. The difference is there's one rascal on and then 1 million people suffer because of this one rascal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of remember this connection to piety and impiety when we approach God. That's why I mentioned that. Hope that was something helpful.
Yeah. Let's see. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord are considered to be in object darkness. Those who ask for the Lord's favor only at the time of necessity are partial recipients of the mercy of the Lord, and those who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord are full of recipients of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to the recipient and is not due to partiality of the all-merciful Lord.
Jai, would anyone like to continue? If not, that's okay too.
What verse are we on? I finally got the load.
Read. Oh, okay.
Oh, I apologize, Kim. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chase was just
okay.
Verse.
All right, I'll start.
First Canto, 8th chapter, verse 26. Right?
29.
29. Sorry, and we somewhere towards the end already. So, Kim, if you like, you continue.
Yeah. Sure. I think I'm right here. When the Lord descends on this material world by his all-merciful energy, he plays like a human being, and therefore appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees only. But that is not a fact. Despite such apparent manifestations of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed. In the presence of the Lord, hold on a second. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualifications from the effects of all sins. And therefore, the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental abode. Somehow or other, if someone puts himself open in the sun rays, he is sure to get the requisite, is that the word? Benefit, both of heat and by ultraviolet rays. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for the people in general to think of him as partial. And then should I just read the translation here? I'm sorry. Should I just read the translation here?
No, that's the next verse. I don't know. Are we continuing reading?
Verse? Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Can I tell you, I have the Srimad Bhagavatam that all 10 books are in one book. Have you ever seen that version where all 10 are in one book?
Oh, yeah.
The type is
thick. We have
type is so
small.
Yeah, so that's why I'm a little jumpy on that. Sorry about that. Okay.
That's fine.
Good, I'm done then.
I had one of these and it fell apart within less than a year.
Must be huge.
Yeah,
it's as big as that.
Right.
We have Chaitanya Charitamrita in one set like that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's why I don't read so good. Okay, go.
we can stop and reflect on some of what we read. A lot of dense juice of Prabhupada's nectar here in between the lines. So I welcome you to share if something comes into your heart or consciousness that you would like to express.
I don't know. I mean, this is kind of a tough concept for me. I mean, it's something I've been contemplating, but I'm not really there to really accept it. Mostly, I'm just angry at him. So
something is difficult, causing you anger, resentfulness.
Yeah.
From the reading.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, I was supposed to get my health fixed. I went to an Ayurvedic doctor twice. Both times I was distracted or whatever by a devotee. One time it was just some random guy I met on the train, and he started talking to me about Krishna and all, and something that he said completely distracted me. I made the wrong choice, and then all the money that I spent there, because he said, "Oh, you go there, it'll make your mind very sharp." I thought,
you made the wrong choice going to a wrong doctor.
I went there to get my back fixed.
To an Ayurvedic doctor.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, you go there, your mind will become very sharp." And I was like, "Yeah."
The devotee told you.
Yeah, it's just random, you know. And I mean, it wasn't necessarily with ISKCON, but he was a devotee of Krishna. And I was like, "Yeah, that's right. I should get my mind fixed too. That's the center of it."
Like, if I just get it right, you were planning to go to the Ayurvedic doctor.
I was on my way there.
But then you met someone, a devotee or whoever, that diverted your attention from going and treating your body and
treating my back instead of
my,
and he was mentioned how it would make my mind sharp.
Yes. And now
so
looking
I got caught on that, and because of that, I ended up spending. All my time gets spent on trying to fix my mind.
And you're angry on that. You're angry on this.
Yeah, because that happened twice. So I felt like that was him sending these people to screw me over.
Who? Krishna?
Yeah. Or like, for example, I had a dream in Mayapur about how basically about how I'm being like alone and just being by myself and kind of like being in my own little place.
Yes.
And in the dream, it was revealed, basically now it's time for you to have a child.
Yes.
And then that's 3 years later. I have my astrologer. That was 3 years ago. My astrologer said I was supposed to meet my wife.
Yes.
Last 2 years.
Yes.
That ends up just being. I thought this person was supposed to be my wife.
Yes.
That ends up just being a smack in the face, right?
You're feeling that Krishna is behind these things, and when you read the verse
over and over again
that he envies no one, you're like, hell no, this is Krishna. He hates me.
Yeah, I
is that what I'm getting?
He's like likes to screw with me.
You as opposed to the verse we read, you do experiencing him as having something particularly against you.
Yeah.
In your life experiences and the choices you make properly.
Yeah.
You think Krishna is behind that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Not fulfilling my desires. So I am one of these unpious people. So.
Yeah, you're putting yourself in the category of the people that we read that are impious. The approach to God, they're impious, and their faith in God somewhat diminishes when they don't get their results fulfilled.
Though I mean, even though I could see when I was in the temple that people that were behaving with lower character than me, obviously, and it seemed like things were working out for them while I was getting screwed over, right? So just like, okay, this is really hard to understand. So
Krishna, God is partial, and he's partial not There's no sense how he's partial. The sinners, they get, not sinners, but someone who is not, has a better character, worse character than you, he gets what he wants, and you don't get what you don't. It's not, I don't even sense it's like something you want, it's just something that helps you to potentially even serve Krishna better, like back problems and health, like we were speaking a few days ago about how health is important in Prabhupada's teachings. So first health, sadhana, and service. And you don't get that from your relationship with God that disturbs you.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah, you consider Krishna as having something against you particularly. So this verse like doesn't make sense to you in a way. Like why Shukadeva Goswami says, you have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. Because you do experience God as like being somewhat resentful towards you, right?
Yeah.
Towards your progress to serve Him. I mean, that's why you're in the temple, you're in ashram, and still no wife, back problem, this problem, that problem.
I don't know what else to say.
Thank you for sharing where you at. Being vulnerable. Kim, she wanted to say something before Keith started.
I was just gonna. Yeah, I was just gonna say what I thought the verse meant to me, but I understand it has nothing to do with what Keith just said, which I think is important too, where you can easily feel like God is being partial against you. But I can understand that comment. But yeah, I was just seeing it from a totally different way, in the sense that I feel like Krishna may seem to so many people in the entire world like he's partial to the Christians through Jesus, or he's partial to the Muslims through Allah. Like he'll appear partial, but he's not partial. The whole world has access to him, but for some reason certain groups will feel like he's partial to them. So I think this verse is important to say, he's not partial. Like you might have a relationship through this aspect of him or that aspect of him, but he's not partial. So that's kind of how I saw that verse, and that was my only comment.
Thank you, Kim. I hear that you express a broad vision about what God consciousness really stands for, and it seems partial in the minute scale to the Muslims or Christians, but actually God is for everyone, and
yes.
from
everyone. That's what I think. Yeah.
For everyone where they want to meet God, God is ready to meet them. In the Quran, actually, there is a beautiful verse in the form of a question. Allah, Krishna, he asks, why did I send so many prophets and messengers and scriptures to practically every nation and every continent? And I don't remember if the commentators answer that or there is a direct answer of Allah in the Quran, but the answer is that what is spoken is that He wants us to understand better how to serve Him collectively. We have all this, and then our love to God expresses itself in its full capacity when we bridge all these differences, and we really focus on the essence of what makes God known, not partial. Okay, we see God from our little religion, our little Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, or Islam, or Christianity, or so many other religions. But
yes,
that the real love is when we get out of this thinking that, I'm the chosen. We are like in the Jewish tradition. I'm coming from like a more or less Jewish tradition before Christian consciousness, and they would teach us, you are the chosen people, and you're the sons of Israel or something like that, And I was thinking, like, what about the rest of the world? Like, where are they? What happens to them?
Yeah.
Right? So, and to rectify that, yeah, Krishna sends Jesus Christ to come to the Gentiles, to the people who not necessarily, you know, have that. I don't even consider that like as a chosen thing. It's like, I see that as like, you know, God, he knew that these people have a super ego, so he put them on this palanquin. Yeah, you are chosen. Now go and do your duty. Be safe. Follow the commandments, and even that they cannot follow. We say openly they cannot follow. Anyways, that's a different topic. But yeah, that's kind of I went to the direction of what you were trying to share. This feeling of God being not partial to anyone, and he is purely loving every single living entity, regardless of his faith or not faith, or just being himself.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, Gajendra Prabhu and Prahlad Prabhu. We're reading. We're gonna continue reading the first canto, 8th chapter, 30th verse. I guess that's the next one.
Yeah.
Just before that, everyone is kind of sharing what is happening for them while reading this.
Can I say something to Keith?
Oh, please, Chase. Yes, please.
Keith, I really resonate with what you said in the sense how God can allow such. I'm not saying directly the devotees that you had contact with, but how in this world it seems that though the sinners are the people that live ungodly lives get elevated to more earthly positions, higher earthly positions. It seems like Christians, and it seems like devotees, and it seems like anyone that partakes in a faith-based religion and gives faith ultimately to God is in some way ostracized in this world, whether it be physically, whether it be emotionally, or whatever the case may be. And like you said, you kind of have that anger. Every time I get angry, like every time I get in the mood or do anything, I get humbled instantly because something literally, not every time, but a lot of the times I might do something where I accidentally say I'm really angry at someone, I fall. I'll fall indiscriminately every time, or do something of that nature where I'm physically reminded, hey, you need to stop your attitude. And that's on me, but I'm just saying, like, I do resonate with what you said, because the sinners and the evil people of this world seem to be the head occupants of this world, Rakshasas. I mean, I understand that completely. But to ease it's not hatred, but to ease your anger, all I could just say to you, brother, is we are not this body, we are not this mind, and that I know you feeling some anger towards God, but he loves you. I can tell you that. I don't even know you, but I know you enough to know that you have stayed in your practice and stayed in your faith. It's I don't know anything about you, but I know it's all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, for me personally, two things came when we were reading this verse. The first thing, it's kind of like a short one, something that I remember from the introduction. Prabhupada speaks about this concept of people that mistake or they misunderstand God's pastimes as being human. Although it's human, it's human, but it's human-like. And Prabhupada says this is actually the why there is no peace in the world, because we take an ordinary man to be God, and then we conceive of God as an ordinary man. These two extremes, they just cannot extract any peace and prosperity in the world. These two fundamental dynamics are missing. How do we accept the minute living entity in this world, and how do we accept God, presence of God in this world? They cannot be, just like there cannot be a kingdom without a king, there cannot be God's kingdom without God. And without God's kingdom on earth, there cannot be peace, because peace, thinking about it intrinsically, it's a spiritual thing. But in the material world, there is no peace. Like the whole creation starts from war. It's like an explosion, right? Like they say Big Bang or whatever. Even if we look in in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how Lord Brahma manifests all the different combination of material elements, the fire with the sound or something like that creates the shape. So many intricacies are there, but there is no peace. Peace is something that even Krishna, he comes here to escape the peace in the spiritual world. He comes here to fight, right? Because there are rascals like me, maybe some of you, just kidding, who take God as an ordinary man. I mean, that's the only reason you would fight God, because you think, oh, this rascal is just a little boy. And like today, when here, I don't know what's the weather there in Kentucky, or Kim, you're from Pittsburgh, right? Am I correct? I don't remember. Or Laura, she's from Pittsburgh. Either way, it was like a really big storm. Like before we started the session, now with thunder and lightnings and like the rain. Like when we were chanting the Guru Puja, Gajendra and Praladi from Alachua area, you probably can resonate, was like really crazy. And I was just thinking, oh, it's just like Indra's pastime with Govardhan Hill, and Indra is angry on Krishna, and he dares to challenge Krishna, to thinking that he's just a little boy. How dare Krishna to challenge me? I'm the supreme demigod of all the demigods. And yeah, he creates a war, and Krishna comes here for that war, for this rasa, to have a little fighting, but that's not like a spiritual quality in the sense of this challenge and this the quarrel, the inner peace that we're all looking for. It's there in the spiritual world, and yeah, that's kind of what comes for me, and I see to a lot of parallels to this verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna in the 9th chapter, in the most confidential knowledge chapter, he says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu named vistashti priyaha ye bhajanti tumamam bhakta mai te tesu kapiyaham. I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. And like throughout the last year and a half, this verse became really like the most dear and like my favorite verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Before that, I liked that verse in the 15th chapter, Madhasmritim Gyanamapohanam Chana. Krishna is the source of intelligence, forgetfulness, intuition. But I went through some really heavy things that I shared in the previous session already, and it really became more and more apparent to me how Krishna is ready. He's ready to like take us really inside his heart if we're ready to bring him inside our heart. I don't know if anyone would like to read the purport. Maybe it's gonna unnecessarily take time, but anyone would like to read the purport to this verse? 9th chapter, 29th verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Or if you like, I can read it since I have it open. Or keep. Maybe you would like to read. Read? Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone and no one is his specific friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination. This is natural. Any man in his material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and as such, he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless, wherever it falls, on a rock or on land or water. I think even Prabhupada mentions something similar in the purport here, right? Something about the distribution of Krishna's mercy. But for his followers, he gives specific attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They're always in Krishna consciousness. And therefore, they're always transcendently situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists, situated in Him. The Lord says here distinctly, "Maite," in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the word astina priyaha ya bhajanti. Whoever surrenders unto me, proportionally I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When the diamond is set in a golden eye, this is where this verse is. This is where this analogy is. Yesterday, I think we were trying to remember about the diamonds, right? We spoke about something with diamonds. Is it in the evening we spoke or in the morning? I think in the morning. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time, the diamond is glorified. The Lord and living entity eternally glitter. And when the living entity becomes inclined to serve to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond. And so this combination is very nice. I like how simple Prophet is. So intimate, the simplicity. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of His devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personalist philosophy. Wow, it's like this highlight of, that's kind of what I hear from Prabhupada, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Prabhupada highlights that unless Krishna is partial to his devotees, it's not personalism anymore. In the impersonalism philosophy, there is no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity. But in the personalist philosophy, there is. Anyone remembers, by the way, any examples of Krishna becoming the devotee of his devotee? Okay, maybe someone will have an answer when we finish the paragraph. The example is often given. Yes.
I can think of an example. Lord Ram was worshiping Lord Shiva.
Oh, okay.
And I think, there's like the story, the significance of 108, the number 108. So Lord Ram worshipped Lord Shiva with 108 flowers.
Okay.
But that's just one example. Yeah, and then he also worshipped, I think Varuna. I think it was Varuna, so that Varuna would give blessings to cross the ocean to Lanka.
Nice.
Yeah. Those are two.
They became even angry on the ocean because the ocean was late.
It wasn't reciprocating.
Yes, thank you. The example is often given that the Lord is like a desire tree, and whatever one wants from this desire tree, the Lord supplies. But here the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to the devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord's justification should not be considered to be under the law of karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and his devotees function. Devotional service of the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. Wow. Yeah, every time I read this report, my stomach moves. It's like so deep and so personal. I mean, it's the most confidential knowledge part chapter, so it's kind of not surprising that it's moving me, maybe other devotees too. So, well, there's another obvious example. I'm going to give you a hint of Krishna becoming the devotee of his devotee. Parthasarathi, the charioteer. Krishna is the charioteer. I think Bhakti Keith Prabhu, he narrated the story about the Brahmana that Lord Chaitanya met, the illiterate Brahmana. The story with the Lord Chaitanya he met. Of course, you know, you just told the story. So yeah, he mentioned, Bhakti Keith mentioned a story. I wonder if I remember it. The Brahmana, he was illiterate, but he got an instruction from his spiritual master that he should read Bhagavad Gita every day. So how the hell is going to do that? He cannot even read the Bhagavad Gita. Like sometimes, the thing you mentioned, sometimes he would hold it opposite down, even like completely illiterate. But he was crying, and genuinely crying, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw his sincerity. He connected to his feelings of empathy and affection, his study of the Bhagavad Gita. But Lord Chaitanya was wondering still why he is crying, because he cannot even read the Bhagavad Gita. And all the locals, they would laugh, right? They would laugh, oh, he's just making a show. He's crying. He probably is a sahajiya or something like that. Sahajiya is someone who takes devotional service cheaply. So he cries, and then Prabhupada, he makes this remark, they cry and then they go and they smoke ganja or something like that in the corner. You know, it's a contradictory activity. You cannot be spiritually elevated, connected to God to that extent that you cry when you hear the Bhagavad Gita, and the next thing you indulge in the sense objects, you enjoy the senses. And that's not what the Brahmana was doing. He was actually genuinely opening the Bhagavad Gita, flipping through the pages, sometimes holding it opposite down and crying. And Lord Chaitanya asked him, why are you crying? So the Brahmana, he said, I don't know why, but whenever I open the Gita, I remember this one plot that my spiritual master told me before he gave me that instruction to read the Bhagavad Gita, is that Krishna becomes the charioteer of his devotee. And simply thinking about that makes me cry, because he was experiencing how Krishna is partial. Krishna becomes the devotee of his devotee. Krishna is serving his devotee directly. And yeah, so that's another example. So that, Hare Krishna. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you for listening. If you like, we can continue to the next prayer. What do you say? We continue to the next prayer?
Sounds good.
30. We can just recite the Sanskrit together and skip the word to word. Janma karma cha vishvatman ayasyat katur atmanaha triyanadishu yadashu tadayatma vidhamavam. Who's next? Who has the transliteration open? Chase?
Jamin, birth.
Oh, you can read the word by word. Just read the translation.
Okay. Of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work through you, though you are inactive. You take birth. That you are the vital force of the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering.
And yeah, if you like, you can read some of the purport.
The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but they are also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. The Lord is the all-pervading super soul of the existence, and yet he appears in the form of a boar amongst the animals in the form of human known as beings as Rama, Krishna, etc., in the form of Re and Narayan, and in the form of aquatic like a fish. Yet it is said that he is unborn, and he has nothing to do. In the Shmurti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal to.
I think Chase is a bit occupied there. Here, George. Would you like to continue?
I'm not able.
Okay, that's fine. Bhakti Keith Prabhu?
Sounds good. In the Sri it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal or to or greater than him. He has manifold energies, and everything is performed by him perfectly by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. All these statements prove without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power. And because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible to him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees because they're intimately related with him. The devotees therefore know that although he appears amongst the animals, he is not an animal, nor a man, nor a rishi, nor a fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances.
Sure. What's the difference if I ask you, like between how Krishna appears as an animal or we appear as an animal? Yeah, because I mean, we might appear as, we're already appearing, right? It's not our original form. To be a human, American, Canadian, Russian. Anyone would like to share? Should share, just to say what's their understanding. We both appear, right? Krishna, he appears, he's born to parents, he's growing up and going to school. We were reading about Sandipani Muni. Yet there is a difference. The prophet doesn't state here directly, but it just says that he's not like everyone else. Yeah, I thought sort of to dive deeper into that. Yeah, from like kind of what I recall from Prabhupada, he shares how Krishna's appearance is different in the way that he's not bound to the laws of karma, right? And that's why he has free will. He has a free will to be a fish, to be a tortoise, to be one of the guna avatars. Sometimes he comes like Lord Brahma. And yeah, free will. We have no free will. And it's like an interesting thing too, because I mean, we did desire this particular form at some point, and us having the experience of being, in the particular body we had is due to our desire, to our free will. But from my understanding, because the free will, our free will is, because it's minute, we run into so many contradictions. And Krishna, he helps us to sort of patch the contradictions, so he gives us something, but it's never perfect because our desire to enjoy is not perfect. We desire to enjoy in so many contradictory ways. So there must be some flaw there. But Krishna still, he arranges that in a perfect way. So many desires and thoughts he facilitates, and I mean, there's so many. Even there's a comparison in Vedic wisdom tradition, how the desires, they're like, innumerable drops of rain on the lake, and every drop creates these like warps, what do you call it? Warps. And every time it comes to the shore, that's when the desire actually is fulfilled, right? So there's so many drops, there's so many desires, and by the time that it takes from our desiring to the time it's fulfilled is so long. Sometimes it can take millions of years, trillions of years. Sometimes like the whole kalpa, the whole creation is not enough. So we go to Mahavishnu's body and we remain there unconscious for trillions of years. But it is fulfilled. Krishna writes it down, and he says, no, something else. He says, somewhere else he says in the Bhagavad Gita that I'm sitting in everyone's heart and I drive. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriday Arjuna Tishtati. I drive the living entity, whatever the living entity desires to go. It's not just Arjuna who is served by Krishna. We are too, we're served by Krishna. But now because we have so many contradictory desires, it seems that we are driven actually by something else, by someone else. Because our desires is diverted. So yeah, we get into contradictions. That's kind of what comes to me from reading this verse. Would anyone else like to reflect on the verse or the session in general, or just what's going on for them? But it's okay too. Another thing that I wanted to share about the previous verse. I don't know if I was hesitant, I just forgot, but like the mercy that I experienced from Krishna, like his partiality during last year wasn't like necessarily because of the good things. I mean, I had some good experiences, like I passed so many subscribers on YouTube or whatever, revenues, and so many things. Or I got like more directly introduced to the Sattva community here in Alachua, Gainesville during last year. But I did found a special, partial, and very intimate treatment by how Krishna just gave me the challenges and the obstacles, which I really, looking at the obstacles now, which are still I'm like in the obstacles, but it's really, I experienced that Krishna's direct mercy there, and yeah, it's very challenging because it's like feels sometimes too much to endeavor to go through even, but yeah, it just feels like a lot of care and love, like parents, right? Sometimes the parents they're not just patting us on the shoulders or whatever. They have to be harsh. They have to be, rigid, and especially if we're damaging ourselves. So Krishna, that's my experience of Krishna, especially during last year. I was just so messed up, and considering that Krishna is behind it actually gave me so much relief. Like, oh wow, maybe the suffering has some purpose after all. So I'll just tolerate and let me somehow hold to Prabhupada's feet, Krishna's feet, my spiritual master's feet, and go through it. And yeah, I'm still there in the middle of the storm. Hare Krishna. Right. So if everyone feels complete, we can conclude the session and meet up tomorrow for the next verse, which is going to be verse number 31 of the 8th chapter, entitled Prayers of Queen Kunti.
Nice.
What do you say? We conclude the session? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds like everyone is complete. Jai, thank you so much for everyone's presence here. Either you watched it live, rebroadcast. I'm going to see you all in tomorrow's reading of Prayers of Queen Kunti, diving deeper and deeper into the heart of this beautiful, pure, magnanimous, humble, personal devotee of Supreme Personality God, Krishna.